Betty Lucille Dew. Part Betty White, part Lucille Ball, and always overdue. Yep, she was late for everything. And because of the pandemic, she was even late for her own funeral. Sorry, Mom, I couldn't resist. But seriously, she really did lead an amazingly diverse life, full of great joy and crushing adversity. She really lived it in 3 chapters, as Betty Dew, Betsy Riley, and Betty Sullivan. She took on the name Betsy because at UConn she met her lifelong best friend Betty Potter. They were definitely cut from the same cloth, but they certainly didn't want the same first name. Mom was so distinctive in so many ways. I think the best way to describe her here is from some of your choice responses to the obit I posted after she passed. Rick Potter wrote,
I feel so lucky to have known somebody as outrageous as she was. And there's no question that she has become the benchmark for all of our behaviors, for better or for worse. I can't wait to celebrate her life with all you folks. And rock on, Betsy.
Janet Savard Lewis said,
Your mother was a true force of nature. I will always remember her vivacity and love of life.
Chuck Green added,
Betty Riley, a peach and a pistol, all at once. A loving surrogate mom to all of us knuckleheads. Peace, Betty.
Debbie Coleman Hyde wrote,
Your mom was the best. I can hear her enthusiastic voice and her contagious laughter at this very moment. Love you guys.
Andy Sale remembered, she was my hero, making you kids bring tongue sandwiches to school and finishing a slalom race with a broken back. Lisa Falkenstein Jenkins assured me,
I can imagine her shushing and smiling in the great beyond.
And from Stu Potter, she was always so supportive, always ready to look beyond convention to better understand others. Don Powers summarized her perfectly. She was
one of a kind for sure. She was unsinkable.
Betty's journey into life began when 2 families from Denmark came over on the boat at the very beginning of the 20th century and settled in Hartford, Connecticut. Lucy Holmes and Christian Dew fell in love, on the way married, and started a family on Grandview Terrace. Betty made her debut on May 17, 1923, much to the delight of her 5-year-old brother Lucian, who famously asked, Is she really ours? They were extremely close as she grew up, and then the unthinkable. Lucian was killed in a freak accident passing a construction site. The family was devastated, and Betty was now an only child trying to come to grips with tragedy. She developed a resilience she would need time and time again. Her mother Lucy was a wonderful seamstress and made most all of Betty's clothes, including great costumes, which I think contributed to her lifelong theatrics. She was very popular at Buckley High School and developed into quite the dish, graduating in 1940. It was then on to UConn, and as a cheerleader, she loved her football and she loved her dating. She would kid with us later that the favorite line from her wannabe boyfriends was, Betty do or don't she? Yale Nursing School was the next stop, and she was dating many, including a handsome Navy man at Yale Medical School named Francis Riley. He was handsome, brilliant, and very attentive. He was also a deep-sea diver, teaching sailors how to escape from a sunken submarine. He also held the world record for holding his breath underwater, which stood for 5 months. I had to throw that in there because it's so cool. And of course, he was a Dartmouth man as well, class of 1944. But Betty wasn't quite ready. She had to realize a dream of wanderlust and became a stewardess with American Overseas Airways on the New York to London route for 2 years until the end of 1948. It's at this time she receives another crushing blow as Mom Lucy is diagnosed with breast cancer. She takes her mom on one final sentimental journey back to Denmark before her passing in April of 49. Then Betty decides it's time to settle down and that Rye is the one for her. He was her late mom's favorite. So on a beautiful June day in 1949, wedding bells chime and Betty Lucille Dew becomes Mrs. Frances Riley. It's not easy being an intern's wife, but they both know they want kids, so the plot thickens, and so does Betty's waist. It's a double header. Twins Tom and Sue arrive on November 25th, 1952, but not without Mom giving everyone a huge scare, nearly dying of sepsis after childbirth. Dad has now selected neurosurgery as his specialty, and the proud parents are off to live in Sweden for a year of residency. The twins are a huge hit everywhere they go. We all return home on the Mauritania as seasoned little travelers exposed to a new language and lots of attention. We move back to Hartford on Freeman Street and life is progressing in storybook fashion. And then wham! Life takes another U-turn. Sue is diagnosed with polio. Particularly devastating news for Dad as a doctor and Mom as a nurse, and especially just a couple months shy of the Salk vaccine. But between Mom's enthusiasm and Sue's bravery, we only missed a few beats. We flew everywhere, and we went everywhere. We visited both Grandma Riley and the new Grandma Dew many times in Florida. Sue's brace didn't really faze her in the least. Mom loved to drive us everywhere, and always had a convertible. Check out the family styling in our 55 Ford Sunliner. I loved that car growing up. Mom was an excellent driver, but she had a reputation for speed. More on that later. Soon we moved to Forest Drive in Wethersfield into a great neighborhood and lots of great times. We were Mom's pride and joy. Mom loved animals, particularly poodles and Siamese cats. She raised 3 litters of puppies with our standard poodle, Coquette, including one, get this, which went on to become best in show at the Westminster Dog Show in Madison Square Garden. That's like winning the Super Bowl for dogs. Coquette was also a champion chow hound who rescued Sue and I many times from under the dinner table since we couldn't leave until we had eaten everything. There was nothing in life that Mom was more passionate about than skiing, and there was nothing more important to the Riley family development than the Hangdog Ski Club over the years. 15 original families belong, comprised of Betsy and Rye's friends and their kids. 5 ski weekends a year with 4 other families every 3 weeks. What a total blast. The highlight of the year was when the schedule would come out to see who you were with, whether it was the Potters, Sales, Roths, Nichols, Mays, Burleys, Pennies, Mahans, or whoever. It was a huge part in developing lifelong relationships with world-class families.
This is Helen Savard Gray. Betsy Riley, there were many stories about Betsy and things she did and didn't do. We had a girls' time up at Hangdog and Betsy was coming up, but we called and said, Betsy, don't come. We're having a blizzard, it's terrible. But did that stop Betsy? No. So she arrives up at Hangdog in one piece and she said, well, I feel that I have Rye very close to me. I'm wearing his ski underwear. And I also brought his toothbrush. And Flo Sale pipes up and said, Betsy, that's so unsanitary. And Betsy said, it's okay. I ran it through the dishwasher.
Row right here. Roads row.
Life was good on Forest Drive during our grammar school days. We had birthdays galore, and Mom got pregnant again. We were so excited. Then another blow. Mom had a late-term miscarriage. The disappointment was really intense, but we all got together and decided to adopt a new baby brother. Enter Eric. The addition of this little guy to the clan was a definite blessing for a family unit which was experiencing some uneven road at the time. Chipper, as we first called him, simply made us all smile. He would later become known as the Punk, and boy, did he live up to it. Dad was a world-class neurosurgeon in a nationally renowned practice, but he was beginning to struggle with depression and alcoholism. As kids, we didn't realize at the time, and Mom did an unbelievable job holding things together. But it was a struggle. Dad was nearly killed in a horrific single auto accident, and we began to understand that something was wrong. It was time for rehab, a clean slate, a new practice, and a move to Stony Wild Lane. No one loved Greenwich more than Betsy Riley, but we all adapted really well, and we began making lifelong friends. Mom was in heaven with the new house. What an upgrade. So many memories, including the birthplace of the BOE, the Brothers of Emotion, my high school gang of legendary friends. Mom treated us all with equal parts of love and contempt. Sue's circle, the SOS, the Sisters of Soul, were much easier to deal with, and they all loved Betty. In the summer of 1969, Mom would make one of the biggest mistakes of her life. She grounded me from Woodstock. Oh, the agony, so unjust. Mom, it was just a case of beer. All kidding aside, my parents really did realize the magnitude of that decision, and my mom, bless her heart, would continue to apologize to me for the rest of her life. In November of '69, my early acceptance to Dartmouth made Mom and Dad so proud, but it was an uneasy time as Dad's struggles continued. Then on one horrible winter day in February, which I will never forget, we got word that he died at the Yale Club in Manhattan. Mom told us it was a heart attack, but later admitted it was an overdose of pills and alcohol. I never believed it was intentional, but it hurt us all so badly, and it haunts me to this day. I can't help but think of how much his own father's disappearance affected his depression. You see, Grandpa Charles Riley abandoned his family. But that is another story. Mom took Sue and I on a ski trip to Europe to ease the pain. Davos and Chamonix did wonders for our spirits. It was skiing to the rescue once again. Great job, Mom. Now we fast forward a bit, and as both of us headed off to college, Mom carried on as a public health nurse in Greenwich while raising Eric. After a while, she began to date. She got somewhat serious in the George Townsend era, but it was fate that led her into the arms of Dick Sullivan, a sweetheart of a man who she married in 1979. With his son Paul and daughter Maria, we became the Sullivan-Riley clan, and boy did we get along. We had some epic vacations together at Stowe, at Sawgrass, in London, and at Loon Lake. And the parties we kids threw at Doubling Road, ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, Christmas at Sawgrass one year was highlighted by Betty getting caught trimming the tree in the buff. Hey look, there she is with her clothes on. After a promotion from Mobile, Dick and Betty moved to Stavanger, Norway, along with their mischievous teenager Eric, who finishes high school there. They lived there for 5 years, opening lots of new doors for Betty as they traveled all over the world. Then in 1984, Dick was transferred to London, where they lived for 7 years, hosting anybody and everybody who would visit. Meanwhile, back in the States, we rewind a few years and lives are changing in a big way. Much to Betty's delight, I finally end my prolonged bachelorhood, marrying Greenwich beauty Susie Falkenstein, and everybody loves her. Betty is ecstatic, as are Susie's parents Sally and W.D., along with siblings Clark, Chris, and Lisa. We definitely set a Guinness World Record for the size of that wedding party. Next up, Paul marries his Norwegian sweetheart Gry, and then Eric and bride Jenny combine their wedding with a shower in Aspen. And speaking of Aspen, Dick and Betty invest in a condo at the base of Ajax with a new set of conspirators, Susie's dad W.D. and his new wife Sharon. Foshing House becomes the epicenter of all our ski vacations, complete with our local guide, Jeannie Roth, Mom's best buddy. Things are beginning to move and shake, and it is not long before the grandbaby parade begins. Mom is off the charts with excitement. Leading off, it's Lauren Frances Riley, followed shortly thereafter by Sean Vincent Sullivan. Then it's Abigail Marie Riley, Spencer William Riley, and finally Hayden William Riley. What a lineup, and oh how Betty adored them. Betty was such a proud grandma, but always so supportive as a mother too. She was so enthusiastic about our flourishing careers. I will never forget the shriek she let out when I brought this picture of the U.S. women's ski team back from the 1984 Olympics in Sarajevo. Meanwhile, in L.A., Simba was working for Arista Records, illustrating albums for the likes of Diana Ross, Aretha Franklin, Barry Manilow, ELO, and Pat Benatar. Then, another incredibly cruel twist in life. Sue was diagnosed with MS. Mom was so heartbroken. But we all know what a fighter my amazing sister is. Every bit as resilient as my mom and perseverance personified. She vowed to press on, and she did. Often world traveling with Betty and Dick. The family rebounded with some great news. My dear stepsister Maria, the ultimate temptress, finally ties the knot with a stud named Bruce Kulick. Nice catch, Maria. Dick and Betty have never been happier, but life's ups and downs continue as Betty rolls her Porsche 924 in a car accident on the way to church, late as usual, driving too fast, and fracturing two vertebrae. Betty recovers but is fighting pain, and sadly, Dick's health starts to decline in the next couple of years as he fights a relentless blood disease. He finally loses his battle in February of 2003. Betty tries to live at Stoneywild by herself, but less than 6 months after Dick's passing, she has a mental breakdown. Or so we thought. Turns out it was withdrawals from OxyContin, which she had tried to stop taking after years of use for her back pain. Her stay at Silver Hill Rehab Center would be the biggest struggle of her life. Finally, back from the abyss, she bounces back again, and it's on to assisted living at the Muse in Greenwich. Then, the final chapter. After 5 years at the Muse and my retirement from ESPN, the whole crew moved to New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Simba and Eric in a cool little house by the beach, and Mom in with us on Sawgrass Lane. This is where my dear wife should stand up and take a bow, because it was not easy. Getting old pretty much sucks. That ambulance must have come to our house 6 or 7 times in that next 5 years with us. We did have some fun though. Betty's passions were Turner Classic Movies all the time, lobster piss as often as possible, and every night at exactly 5 p.m.
Is it wine time?
Yes, Betty loved wine, however small the dose. In her 90s, she was limited to 1 glass a day, but on holidays and special occasions, look out.
Wish we could be there, but just enjoy being your secret little drinking buddy, breaking Tom's rules, drinking wine in your room, and me passing out. Hope to see you, not soon, but when I do up there see you, we're going to have another little toast.
And whenever Susie and I would go out for the evening, Susie would mark the bottle to see how much Mom had snuck while we were gone. The time for Mom's final move inevitably came, and she spent the final 3 years of her life with daughter Suzanne. It was a blessing for both, but a definite challenge for Simba.
Last time I saw her, I was visiting Sue in Port Orange, and she was sharing a room at that time with her mother. And I would ask Sue a question, and Betty would answer it. So Betty, wherever you are, know that I see Carol Channing in you, and you have that big, beautiful smile and friendly, warm eyes. Best.
Among our hundreds of visits to their room, some were extra special. Hi, girls. Guess who I have?
Oh my word! Oh, you're good. I didn't know it was going to be today.
Betty raved about her new great-grandson Everett, as Tiffany and Spencer would send us new videos every day. She was virtually blind at this point after a small stroke, but you would never know it from her reactions. It really was precious in every way. I wish Mom could have met baby Parker as well. But when you boys grow up and watch this, putting it all in perspective, this is a picture of your great-great-great-grandparents and your great-great-grandma. That's 6 generations from you. And when you grow old like great-grandma Betty, this story will be 2 centuries old. This was my final visit. I broke the rules and hugged Mom after they tried to keep her in her room. She told me that she loved me and named off all the members of the family. She was saying goodbye. I had a feeling it would be the last time I would see her, and it was. You had a great run, Betty. As a Dew, as a Riley, and as a Sullivan. You were truly unsinkable.